It is afternoon, believe it or not.
It is.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know because it could be good morning, could be good evening because we're indoors.
We are.
Yep. African violets, been promising you now for a few weeks. So Julie's just showed you what we have. Small collection at the moment. There's about 55 varieties. So I'm going to give you a beginner's guide from what I've learned in the last 2 months.
Because this is new to you as well.
It's new to me. African violets are new to me. I mean, no, they're not. My mum used to grow these things donkeys years ago and used to root them in water. So I sort of knew the principles of rooting them anyway. And then growing them, to me, it's a bit of a trial and error thing. I think I got most of it figured out. A couple of things I'm still working on. But yeah, so let's start with the ones behind me. So the ones behind me are mostly what they call miniatures and semis. There are one or two full standard ones in here. The plants don't necessarily look the best because I keep butchering them for cuttings. At this stage, I really don't care what the plant looks like as long as it's growing healthily. I want cutting material off them. So like I said, they're not necessarily the best shapes. They're obviously flowering really, really well. And on the other shelf, we have our full size. And again, these don't necessarily, most of them actually don't look bad. The shapes of the plants aren't too bad. I've been butchering them. I want cutting material. I want to grow more plants. So one of the reasons for this is I carry out presentations to garden clubs, hort societies, and I take plants along for the members to buy. But obviously when we get into December, January, February, March, there's very little I can take that people can actually purchase. So I thought, well, African violets sort of fit the bill. I can propagate them in the winter months when I'm a little quieter and I'm bored because I don't know what to do.
Driving your wife up the wall.
Driving Julie up the wall in the same time. So I thought African violets. And I mean, the colours available, it's just endless. Absolutely endless. So I'm going to give you a beginner's guide.
Do you mind not doing that with the tape?
Oh, sorry, am I fidgeting? Am I? I'll stop fidgeting. So let's start with the basics, I think. All of my plants are on what we call a Wick system. So I'm going to lift one up and show you. So when I purchased these, they all had wicks on them. So when they're potted up, they have a wick. Now, acrylic apparently is the best. Again, I've not had time to try this out, but the acrylic seems to work very well. So that's actually put into the compost when these were potted, and these are in, I think these are a 3.5 inch pot. I must admit, I've not actually at any time looked. So yeah, they're in a 3.5 inch pot. I don't know what they're potted into, but they're doing really well. And obviously there wasn't a lot of flower on them when I bought them, but they're certainly flowering really, really well now. They are then placed onto one of these things. What are they called? Coleslaw holders.
I think they're called pantry containers.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
So these are pantry containers, and they're about 4 3/4 by 1 3/4 inches deep. And then all I do is I make a hole in the lid, and the lid, actually the hole I used a glue gun for this, hot glue gun, 3 holes, and then I just drop the wick in. This is a bit of a fiddle sometimes, but honestly, once they're in there, once the wick is in there, you're not taking them out again. And then they just sit on there. And because I've got 3 hoses, I can just water and it just trickles in. And everybody's going to say, oh, look, it's gone all green. Yeah, it's gone all green.
It's a nice
It's a really nice shade of green. I really don't care. Maybe if you want it in the sitting room or somewhere ornamental, in fact, you could just pop in something in the bottom and then you can just put your plant in like that, which obviously looks a lot better. But you've got to remember at this stage of things, all I'm trying to do is produce more plants. As for the algae, as far as I'm concerned, it does no damage. In fact, it does act as a very, very, very weak fertilizer and a supplement to the plants. And as you can see, these things are looking really nice. So the mini ones are potted into these 3-ounce plastic shot glasses.
And it's the 3 ounce, not the
3 ounce. You can see it on the bottom. Yeah. And then you can see I've tried making a hole here with the glue gun, and it really doesn't work very well on this for whatever reason. So in the end, I started drilling them. So I just make one single hole in the bottom with the drill in every single pot. And that at this stage, and I'm using these for cuttings at the moment, at this stage, it's just so that they don't get overly wet. And then your full size, or your pots, I'll bring this one over, only because I know what this one's called and I can actually pronounce the name. So again, you can see we have the wick. Now these are a pain in the backside to get back in, and I'm not going to faff around with it at the moment. These are I actually need potting up, but I'm not really worried because I'm grabbing more cuttings off these. This one's called Watermelon Snow. It is a really pretty one.
That's pretty.
Yeah. But I'm going to grab more cuttings off of this, and I probably ought to pot it up at some stage. And again, it's just a 4 ounce. So it's a 4 ounce coleslaw container. And then these are just sat on top, and then I water as needed. Watering wise, obviously top up the reservoir when it needs it. Everything in here is getting a 1/4 strength feed every time I top these up. Every single time. It's one of the reasons there's so much algae in there. And it's a liquid feed, and that's the same for the little tiddlers and the full-size plants. Everything is getting liquid fed every single time. And I think that's why I have such good color in a lot of these leaves. So that's a little bit about the plants. And then obviously deadhead as you would normally. I have been through recently, deadheaded all of these. Yeah, they're all looking really, really nice. Lighting. Now all I have are 48-inch, again, unfortunately, Amazon Barina. And these are not grow lights. These are actually just shop lights. And what I did find, and I noticed fairly quickly, was that these, even though the plant is almost the required sort of 10 inches away from the light, roughly, maybe a touch closer than it could be, I noticed it was too bright. And by too, what was happening was the leaves aren't forming a cushion as such. They were very, very tight, very compact, and not allowing the flowers to come through. So what I did was we've got this bug netting that we use in the garden, which is a white, and it's not a shade cloth, but it's just enough to take off. Believe it or not, it's enough just to take the glare off. And since I've done that, it's been about 3 weeks. They're definitely a lot happier. So that's where we are with that. Heating wise, the standards and the little pots have no heat underneath. This room ranges from the night when it is warmer in here, because obviously I have all the lights on, and I run all my lights at night specifically because it's cheaper. And these things don't care whether it's 3 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The lights are on all night. And again, I'm still learning a little bit about that with the lighting. Originally, I had the lighting on for too long. So originally I had it on for about 11 hours. I've now cut it all the way back to about 8 hours, and I may cut it back a little bit further yet.
They're doing better.
They're definitely better with less light. And like I said, I'm just playing around with it, and it's just visually what I see. And now, obviously, for a beginner, that's a difficult one. And I think you've got to, if your plant is growing strong, if the leaves are looking nice, and if they're nice and flat, I'll show you this one. What was happening was this, you can see this center, how tight all of these leaves are. There's just no room for the flower buds to come through. This is what we want around the outside, where it's nice and flat and they lay over almost, which then, as you can see, allows the flowers to come up through. This one's now started to flatten out. It was really curled up. This is now flattening out, and you can see there are the flower buds. They will be coming through soon. So that's a thing you've got to sort of figure out for yourself a little bit. And heating wise, as I said, when all the lights are on and when these heat pads are working underneath, it probably is about anything between 70 and 75. And then during the opposite period, when the lights aren't off, it can drop down to about 68. And that's absolutely fine. But you don't really want to drop below 60, and you certainly don't want to get above 80. Anywhere in between that, but they do need that differential. They need that nice warmer temperature and then a period of cool. Otherwise, you'll lose all your flowering. And again, I'm learning this a little bit as I go along, and I'm lucky that I see it quite quickly before there's damage done or before something starts going backwards. So that deals with the lighting. Potting mix. Anybody that's watched the channel will know that I do a lot of my mixes are based on peat perlite. This is not a lot different. This is 50-50 peat perlite with something, and a lot of research, a lot of reading that I read about, and then 20% of this stuff, fluval stratum. Now it's a volcanic soil rock that is generally used in aquariums. It's got a lot of minerals in it, and it also helps with the aeration. That's one important thing, is these things need a lot of really good drainage, whether they're cuttings, whether they're babies, whether they're big ones. They all need good drainage. 50-50 peat perlite gives you that. This also helps as well.
Can I see what it looks like?
You want me to drop it all over the floor?
We'll just take a
It'll drop all over the floor. Oh, hang on. I know what. Have I got one of these without a hole in the bottom? There's one. Now, as I say, this is used in aquariums.
Yeah.
Those little black pellets.
Yeah.
It's a volcanic rock of some sort. So like I said, I did a lot of research. I saw it mentioned many, many times by quite a few people, experienced people that are growing these things. So I thought, oh, what the hell, I'll try it. And again, as anybody knows who's been following the channel, I've been doing this forever. I've been rooting plants. I have tens of thousands of plants I've rooted in my career. And I mean tens of, probably hundreds of thousands actually. I have never, ever seen any plant root as quick as these African violets. Ever. Now, I did try some in water at the same time.
Because a lot of people do
a lot
that,
of people, you can root them in water. I tried 3, and all I did was under the 3 hose, and I put 1 in each. That's what happened to the last one. It didn't do, none of them did anything. In fact, they all rotted. And that's the remnants of the last one, that bottom bit fell off. So I certainly wouldn't be using water. I know a lot of people have great success with water. I didn't. I'm sticking with this, and as I say, root-wise, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So these are some cuttings I did 30th of November. Got it written down on the front, which is unusual for me. Made notes. Now, these were not the ideal material. You have to bear in mind, the plants that I got were fairly big, fairly old. Not ideal.
Yeah, the leaves are big, aren't they?
These are huge. I actually had to cut a lot of these leaves back. Now, 30th of November, these things, and a lot of these now are sticking up, pushing up juniors, as I call them. Babies, juniors, whatever you want to call them.
Plantlets.
Plantlets, yes. I don't know where we're going to show people. Can you see that? The roots?
It's not showing that. Hold on, Matt. Do it that way.
Can you see the roots on that?
I think so.
Okay, hang on. I got a better one here. You want to see roots? I bet you can see those roots.
Yeah, they're showing.
That's a ridiculous amount of roots off of a leaf cutting.
Yeah, wow.
And then from that stage, when they start sending up their plantlets, as they call them, I call them baby. I mean, this one's just ridiculous. There's some babies coming up through. And look at the roots on that. I've never seen rooting like it.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. That needs potting up, but I can't pot it up yet because I got to actually split this apart. So that goes back. That's the material. We'll give you a bit more information in a minute on that. I'll leave those up there for now and how we've got to that stage. So cuttings. Don't do as I did, but I had no choice. I was taking this very old material. So if you look at this plant here, for instance, I had no choice, but I had to take these big leaves around the outside. I should be looking to take these leaves in here. 1, 2, there's 3 nice leaves there. 1, 2, 3. It's not the very center, the very new young ones, and it's not the very old ones. That's the ones I would take off of this plant. We switched to a different plant because you couldn't see what I was doing with that other one. So I'm going to grab this one here. You're looking for about an inch and a half. So at this stage, I'm just going to cut it off. So we got a good inch material there. Let's turn this one around. There's one there. Perhaps not ideal, but it's a nice strong one. It's fairly new. So I'm just going to... There's another one. That's 2. And then maybe that one. 3. So there's 3 nice cuttings. There's its name.
Elisa.
Now, that's the breed, that's the guy that originally, or the person that introduced this variety. They put their initials in front of it, so the breeder. So it's L.E. Alicia. Anyway, back to taking cuttings. So we've got our piece of leaf. Actually, got this really solid. Nice piece of leaf. And then we're going to make as shallow a cut as possible. Does that make sense? So there we go.
Oh, yeah, I'm not getting...
All right, try again. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to try and expose as much in length of the cut as possible.
Can you hold it profile so I can just see? No.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I can't see what it...
Yeah. So we're trying to make that cut as long as possible and shallow as possible. I don't know if I can hold it up to the camera and do it. I'm probably going to make a
Yeah, no, don't.
pig's ear. Oh, can I have a go? Ready? There.
Okay.
So we're trying to make that really in one cut, but it's not easy like this. So there's the 3 cuttings. And then pot. No rooting powder, none needed. Pot, stick it on a slight angle, job done. 1, 2, 3. So once they've been stuck in their little pots, I don't know, 45 degrees, something like that, they get a little drink of water. I can't tip the can up. Hold on a minute. There we go. Just to settle them in. That's all they need. Now these are getting placed on capillary matting. So there's capillary matting in the bottom of this storage thing. So they'll all get put in there. I'm not going to do it all now. It's all self-explanatory. Once that's full, everything's had a little water, I will then find the lid, and then they're basically covered up. And that's it. That's your cutting done. So back to cutting. So these, as I said, these were done on the 30th of November. Not the perfect leaves, because obviously 1 or 2 of these gone off, but you can see all the new little plantlets are all coming through quite nicely.
Now, are you cutting these big leaf in half for a reason?
Again, I have read that they say if you cut the tops off, that they will send up plantlets earlier. I don't know. I've cut the tops off of these because they were getting so big. They were just huge. And they were just actually interfering with the plantlets coming up in the pot next to it.
Right.
The other thing, if you do get a little bit of rot on these, don't be frightened just to trim it off with a pair of scissors. I think these are all okay in here. And maybe I'll show you the one next door. So I don't have any, there's nothing in here that's going a bit funny.
So if it was a smaller leaf, you wouldn't necessarily need to cut them in
no,
half?
I'll show you the smaller ones in a minute.
Okay.
So that's standards. So the one next to us is also a tote of standards. So I lost the lids. That's why I have this perspex on there. Now this one I've had a few issues with. You can see there's some very strange coloured ones in here.
Mm-hmm.
It got too hot. It went up above 80 for a couple of nights. And here's the result of what happens. They get this glassy look to them and then they start rotting.
Yeah.
And although that's rotting, look at this. It's got a full leaf support system on it. And there's one little tiddler here. There's virtually no leaf left, but look at the junior coming up. You can see the little baby one coming up there.
Yes. Yeah.
So again, lesson learned, keep a closer eye on the temperature. Humidity, you want these totes dripping on the inside.
Lots of little plants.
Oh, there's lots of little plants there, and some of this is some of these have had to be cut back. I mean, here's an example here. This one's got a little bit of browning around the edge.
Yeah.
So I would just get the scissors. Where are my scissors? Right here. And just trim that off. It's not going to do the plant any harm at all. Just trim it off back to some new stuff and pop it back in. And then this one's got roots right around the bottom. So we'll see. Again, I'm learning. I'm just figuring that stuff out. Now, these are on heat mats. They're from Amazon again, 48 by 20s. And they are on a thermostat. Do not buy heat mats that do not have a separate thermostat control.
Oh, there you go. Vivo.
So, yeah, Vivo Sun. So they're the 2 thermostats. This top one is for this. The bottom one is for the lower. Now, these lower ones haven't been done so long, so I have the temperature a little higher. These are the miniatures in here, and they have done really well.
Oh, look at all the babies.
As you can see, all the little babies in there. Lots of babies coming up.
Nice.
And I mean, this is quite spectacular, the colour on that.
The little pink one.
The little pink one, yeah. So, yeah, everything there is sending up new babies really nicely. The second one back is also sending up babies. In fact, look at it pushing the compost up here.
Oh, yeah.
And then the back leaf, I should have actually put those into other pots. These are a little bit too big to be in here. And I had to chop them because they were pushing the lid of the... but you can see how wet this is. Mm-hmm. You need to keep the humidity high. Now, I did have a humidistat and thermometer combination in here, and it was around about, I think, between 95 and 97%. That thing's broken already, useless piece of equipment. But now I know what I'm looking for. I know when I see the right amount of condensation on that I have everything right. And then I also know when I have too much condensation, because I do see a little bit of this rotting off. So again, this top shelf here, these are all done. These two were done on the 30th of November. These tiddlers over here were done on the 7th of December. So they've already started sending up plantlets. Mm-hmm. And then the bunch in below us, as you can see, these were done, if Julie gets down, these were done January 2nd. Now this was slightly better material because these came off some of the smaller plants. So what I'll do is I'll take a lid off of, not that one, because I can't show you that because that's solid pots. But this one. So now this one's full again. And you can see here's a little bit of that I was telling you about, that damage. So that will just get chopped off. I'm not worried about cutting that off. And then let's have a look, see if we've got any roots yet. I haven't actually checked this. None on that one. Yeah, there we go. Can you see that?
I think so.
Yeah, that's got a big root system on, and that's been less than 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So in 3 weeks, that is rooted. And then now the next stage for that is to go on and start producing plantlets. It looks like I'm going to have to give this one a cut like I did with this, because they're getting roots on that as well.
Nice.
And also this one here, if you look at this one, you can actually see the roots are coming out of the top. And if you put that in the light, you can see the humidity level because it's got the little sparkles of water droplets.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep the humidity up, keep temperature. Now, you don't, the mistake I made, it creeped up above 80. And it creeped up above 80 in the evening, actually, after I turned the lights on and the heating came on, and it really pushed the temperature up in here. So there were a couple of nights and then damage was done. Again, learning. We've all got to learn. So these will stay in here now until they produce the plantlets. And once the plantlets get to, they reckon about the size of your thumb, you can chop the main leaf off. You can then start taking them slowly off the heat and slowly reducing the amount of humidity until it gets to a point where you can take them out of these containers and put them up onto your shelving. And then from there you grow them on. And then once I get to the next stage, obviously I will show you where we go with the next stage after that. But I think that's pretty well everything for now. If I've missed anything, I apologize.
Well, just ask in the comments.
Yeah, if I've missed something, please ask. And as I say, I'm not a newbie, but I'm a newbie to growing these things. But at the end of the day, it's a plant. It ain't that hard. It really isn't. And I'm amazed how quickly and easily these things are rooting. To me, the challenge it appears for me now, the rooting is a piece of cake. The challenge for me now is to get them to the next stage in a healthy condition so that I can keep them moving quickly, get them potted up and get them ready for sale. Now with these first ones, none of these will be ready for sale until I'm thinking about August, September, because that's when I start my presentations again. I've got some to do this spring, and then I have a whole bunch to do next late summer, early fall, hoping we're going to have some of this stuff available. But yeah, so until next time, please like and subscribe, and we'll catch up with you then. No doubt back out in the cold.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.